Good morning, good afternoon to everyone joining in for 5G and beyond. As Annie was mentioning, we're having a panel now where we're going to discuss the slicing solution and implementations in telecom networks. I am joined now by three esteemed panelists. Alexandre Harmand is head of network platforms at the Telefonica group. Ronald Limoa, VP Technology Strategy at Telkomsel, and Kristoffersen, who's VP Service Delivery at IC in Norway. Hello, all of you.
Hello.
Thanks for joining in.
Hello.
So each of your companies has been making good progress in network slicing. So we're going to go into a little bit of the details of your journey there. Let's start maybe by trying to define what network slicing is. What in your perspective constitutes network slicing? Who wants to take that? Alexandre, you want to have a try?
Yeah, so first, network slicing is really a way to have some level of dedicated or connectivity or specific connectivity per use case, and we are also able to build some specific network instances per use case. So it's really to build a dedicated connectivity for a use case. Okay, so it's to make this connectivity differential for our customer.
I see.
And maybe it's the sort of mobile answer to VPNs and a more flexible VPN solution, more security on for the network slice.
Right, and that kind of was maybe the most important or one of the most important promises of 5G, right? Creating connectivity products that were going to be adapted to different verticals, different use cases, different industries. Why has it taken so long to emerge as a technology that's available in the market?
I think for network slicing to be efficient, you need the right level of 5G SA coverage, right? So even though we started 5G SA introduction quite early, it takes time to build upon the right level of coverage. We are analyzing, though, what we could do in non-5G SA coverage. So take into account that network slicing is mainly built on resource partitioning capability on the access. This kind of capability is also available in 4G. So you will have less granularity in terms of the connection, but you could do something also out of 5G SA coverage. Okay, so, but as I said, most of the slicing full-fledged is 5G SA, and you need a relative good coverage to be able to sell it.
So you need 5G standalone. Well, you need to implement slicing capabilities in your core network, but also I'm assuming in the transport and the access as well. And
it's mainly an access feature. So I don't think in transport you need to do much. But we see two big steps for slicing. I think you can start with static slices. So for that, you do manual configuration. So it's good to start, but it's very difficult to scale to many customers.
Yes.
Then you need to introduce automation with dynamic slicing. So to be able to reconfigure slices and activate and create slices automatically in your network for massive amount of customers. So we see these two steps. We are at the first one, but we are building this automation capability to scale in demand. But I think that's a bit the journey. You need to have the right radio features. Then you need to keep on building automation in order to scale in demand.
Yeah, we'll go into the next generations of feature a little later in this segment. Is anything necessary in the phone, in the device itself, to be able to support slicing?
Yeah, I think the key thing in the device is so many slices at the same time you want to support. So to start, you don't need. I mean, the base capability of Android and Apple that are coming, it's good to start. But if you want to support multiple slices simultaneously, you need this USRP capability, and it's where things start to be a bit more complex from a device point of view. But it's when you want this multi-slice support at the same time that you need really to keep working more on the device activation and provisioning.
Understood. Okay, so let's get into the details of your experience. Maybe starting with Ronald and then with Tori, and finishing with Alexandre. Could you please tell us what you've done in terms of slicing, what kind of services you have launched so far, for what kind of verticals, industry, or use cases?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I tried to figure out what your question at the beginning, that what kind of network slicing is it? For us, the idea is how we're gonna fulfill the needs of our customers. We can use any technology to customers, but as long as the customer need it. So the second is what is stopping us to doing the 5G SA? It's actually in Indonesia, the main problem is the spectrum itself. Yes, the device is come here, the network also will ready, the 5G SA core is there, the transport also, we do some QoS on the transport, but the spectrum itself is still quite slow, so it's also stopping us. What we already done, of course, we do some trial back then in 2023. We do some implementation to support a lot of use cases. The first use cases that we do is supporting our B2B customers. They need a specific latency. They need specific use cases for helping them in the mining area, because we have one of the biggest mining in the world in Indonesia here. So we helping our customers there to deploy the 5G in their network. Second, we also do support the government initiative.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ronald. Can you tell us what kind of mining operations we're talking about?
It's a gold mining. It's a gold mining.
Gold mining. Okay. So obviously underground mining. So you need to deploy a 5G network, and you need to create slices for specific vehicles to be able to be connected at all time. Yeah.
For them to do the operation, they're gonna need specific QoS to control the underground devices, the underground vehicle, for example, and to monitor, for example, because for the mining, it's very important to avoid accident. So for them, they have to see the drivers of the big truck because they have to make sure that the driver is still aware and everything. We also do some of our government initiative where, for example, we are supporting the slicing in the 5G SA in the G20 event back then in Bali in 2024. Now we are starting to see what kind of use cases are coming, but mainly it is for B2B. We do have around more than 159 million for B2C customers, but we also see the B2B there. We do some trial, for example, if we are a very big country that very like football, soccer. So for us, when our country football team is going to the third round of the qualifications, a lot of people want to see. So what if, for example, they buy specific ticket from us and we do specific slicing for those customers for the B2C? But mainly our initiative is actually coming from B2B. Again, it's not about the technology. It's about how to solve our customer problem.
Thanks, Ronald. Tori?
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. So yeah, we launched the slice service basically for public safety and defense purposes and some grid company use cases. And I totally agree with Ronald. It's really about the use cases. And of course, slicing, it seems to be a bit of over-engineered. I've heard a lot of people saying so, but basically, it is a very important part of the toolbox when we are sort of attacking use cases or sort of market segment orientated approach to the market. So, and for the public safety part, it's we have provided specific coverage in areas where we normally don't have coverage, and we have added a slice to that. so that we bring all that traffic into the core and deliver it over to a DNN or an APN in 4G world, and then deliver that on the fiber network to the location where they have their data centers. So it's about sort of covering for needs they have for radio coverage and also latency. So we are able, Norway is a very, very stretched country. If you're going from south of Norway to the north of Norway, it's like going from south of Norway to Rome. So it's a very stretched country, and we need to sort of pay extra attention to the latency part. And for some users, 4G has been an internet delivery, basically. Yes. And you have to put a lot of security on top of that. So adding this VPN functionality or slicing functionality, it adds a little bit to the fight between the good and the bad on the network side.
We'll come back to the use case in a moment for ICE Norway. Alexandre, what have you been doing at Telefonica?
Yeah, so we did many trials, but now we are basically commercially launching our main market. So it's good to see that now we can sell the service. And the first, let's say, commercial success are around corporate connectivity. So it's like intranet type connectivity, but also emergency forces. We managed to get a customer. And the third segment, let's say, where we are quite successful is like private network like type connectivity. Okay, so this three type of B2B demand is where we started. Okay. And
sorry to interrupt you. Telefonica is a big group. In which country did you launch those services?
I mean, our main markets right now is where we are more advanced in 5G SA. So it's basically Europe and Brazil. Okay, it's where we are, let's say, more commercially advanced in 5G SA availability. Okay.
So Spain, Germany, UK, and Brazil.
In UK, as you know, now it's a joint venture, so it's not Telefonica home, but it's an important market. So we are commercially launched, and we are keep on working on expanding our roadmap. But really, the phase where we are working out now, as I said previously, is really how to industrialize it fully. So how do we activate sites faster? So there's a lot of work on how you get basically the assurance right, how you get the scalability right. And we are really working hard on being able to scale the demand now.
I see. Thank you. So we spoke about creating connectivity products that customers are asking for. We spoke about security. What other benefits are coming from slicing for your customers?
From a Telefonica point of view, obviously, well, the dedication, the difference in quality, but also we are trying to bind a bit also 5G advantages together. So as an example, in Spain, for us, we have edge deployments. And for us, to provide also infrastructure to our customer where they can deploy their loads, their use cases, and have even a better latency thanks to edge. Putting it together with a specific connectivity licensing, we think that they are quite powerful proposal.
Yeah.
So, and as another important aspect for us, we have quite a lot of demand from our colleagues from Open Gateway and slicing. So we have the quality on demand API available in Spain, for example. So slicing is one of the tools we use for the quality on demand capability. So that's another demand that is through API exposure through our Open Gateway colleagues to monetize the service.
I see. Ronald, anything to add?
Yeah. Again, Indonesia is an archipelago country. It's very difficult for us to lay on the cable to all the island that we have. So one of the solutions we do is using the 5G. So for example, if the more spectrum that come to Indonesia, then we will do it, for example, for our FWA using the red cap and give the customer specific QoS to the home. So in Indonesia, the fixed broadband penetration is less than 20% for our household. So imagine if we can lay on the 5G. And second is actually, I'm thinking about smart city. So we do 5G SA in our new capital city in Kalimantan, in Borneo. It was a very good sample that we can do it for a smart city initiative. For example, controlling all the traffic, controlling all the trams and everything. It will be very good for us as a developing country to have such technology. Thank you.
Sorry.
I think Alexandre had a very good point in the beginning, where he pointed out that it really starts with a full 5G converged core, because that is really adding the split of the user plane and control plane, which adds a lot of flexibility to the network architecture. So slicing is just a part of that, and I think that, you know, providing regional autonomy is very important for the customer. Large customers and a lot of customer segments are very oriented to that, because the amount of extreme weather is a lot higher than it used to be. So the delivery assurance in a full native cloud environment in the core is something that is very important to the overall case.
Okay, so all of you, from one degree to another, spoke about how slicing can provide quality of service, lower latency, better performance. I wonder whether those are, I mean, whether you can deliver those in a deterministic fashion and sell basically and guarantee you're going to have that performance profile for that slice with that level of latency, with that level of speed, or whether basically is just reserved capacity within your network at one point in time, but there's still variability. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it depends on the use case. It's basically it can be quite hard to sort of give a specific bandwidth sort of capacity in any condition.
Mm-hmm.
That would be more like for the public services kind of purposes. But I think that controlling the traffic is maybe a more crucial part and easier part. Like if we have a customer in the northern part of Norway, we could make sure that their calls and their data connections are not leaving the northern part of Norway, and it's sent to their edge data center. I think that there's a lot of goodies in that package. I think that it will be a public discussion whether companies can sort of take their and have their dedicated portion of a public mobile network space. So
I think it's a complex discussion, because there's one thing about how you plan your network, and then what you really guarantee in it. Okay, so I think when you plan your network, you need basically to understand how many slices you're going to activate nationally, and in your network planification, you need to have some level of the access resources booked against the different products you want to sell. Okay, but one thing is different, this planning thing about what happens if your network starts having congestion. So if your network starts having congestion, it's very difficult to maintain fully capacity for somebody. Okay, so I think there are two different steps. So I think it's very important when you plan your network capacity to understand the slice you want to commercialize and how much of the capacity you reserve in your design. And the other thing is really what happens if a congestion occurs. So in the radio, I understand there are two main capabilities. You can do either a guaranteed bit rate, or you can do resource partition. So slicing concept is more built upon the resource partition. This means that you will always dedicate more resources to this customer who goes in the slice, let's say. but it's not a fully guarantee. So you don't maintain the resources fully booked in the access. This means that if they are unused, they can be used by the other customer. So that's a good thing about slicing. That's why the business case can fly. You don't need to have let's say, plan resource totally fully booked all the time. If they are not used by your slicing customers, are used by other customers. This is a complex discussion. but what is clear in your planning, if you want to activate slicing nationally, you need to have this view on how much capacity you will dedicate to each service. Okay.
I see.
I think it is combined both, where you want to get what kind of use cases you want to solve for your customers, how you're going to do the planning, plus how you manage the networks. So it is a combination of that. We even, for example, can do services or use cases, for example, for the mission critical for our government, for example, because like again, I'm saying about in Indonesia, we are a ring of fire country. We have a lot of earthquake and everything. So maybe it's very important to do such thing. So it's kind of the combination of those, what the other.
And I guess as I'm listening to your responses, it prompts me to think that obviously, Alexandre, you spoke about at the beginning the fact that today most slicing is basically static, but the evolution tends toward having more dynamic slicing creation. And we all know how complex a network capacity planning can be, and how variable the demand can be from one geography to another, for one use case to another. Do you see a role for machine learning, AI, to, well, react and even predict how those slices can be created and managed across the network?
So I think, yeah, for sure, I think AI will help. You know, you have all these concepts in the standard architecture about the NWDAF, who can do predictions, receiving metrics, and you can do prediction against your slicing capacity. So something we start to explore. But before that, if you want to automatize your slicing capability and move to this dynamic slicing creation, you need an end-to-end orchestrator. That's the piece we are implementing, because this orchestrator will have a view of all the different inventories of the different domains.
Yes.
You need this inventory multi-domain view in order to be able to do a good job in doing automation in your slicing activation and management. So that's a technical challenge we're working on right now.
Is it part of the service management and orchestration domain?
Not really. Well, you know, you have orchestrator in all the domains now.
Yes,
but this piece really, we call it end-to-end orchestrator, but that's really the orchestrator that has this multi-domain view on the resources and the inventory and all what is available, and can manage then the, let's say, per domain orchestration capability to us what to do, okay? And it allows also this end-to-end configuration. So if you activate something from your PSS customer, you automatically configure all the domains end-to-end, yeah? So.
Yeah. Thanks. Tori, what's your perspective on the usage of machine learning and AI for slicing?
Can definitely play an important role in that in these kind of solutions, because it's a very flexible solution, but it depends on the UE or the user equipment as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned it early in the meeting. You know, the user equipment needs to have a SIM card that is 5G SA enabled. And it's really about the applications and how they address different types of traffic, and then eventually the slices within the type of traffic, and it's a relationship between the application on the user equipment and the service delivery platform, basically. So and one could see a very interesting sort of way of machine learning and how to control and dimension the traffic or balance the traffic or initiate different slices, like Alexandre mentioned. When you get a dynamic slice solution, you would you have 1 byte to sort of specify the type of traffic, which leaves you with a lot of 256 different types of traffic, and within that you have 3 bytes for the slice part, which leaves you with 12.5 million slices. So there's a lot of sort of logical capacity onto that, and that is something that could be used in that kind of scenarios. But that's the next step, I would say.
For sure, for sure.
If it moves in that direction, we don't really know at the moment.
Ronald, what's your perspective?
Yeah, we do really need machine learning and AI, but I think I kind of agree that, for example, we have to do it in end-to-end way and in multi-vendor environment, because sometimes we have a different vendor where in the RAN, in the core, and etc. And also, I think the one that quite important, for example, the 3GPP has released 18 about AI, but I think all the standards will be there, including the device itself. So we have to see all those equipment as well.
I see. There is a question from the audience. Before looking at the question or looking at the comment, it raises an interesting point. Is slicing enhancing or neutral towards network security? Is there an aspect of slicing that helps with network security or that presents specific concerns about network security? Tori, go ahead, please.
I would absolutely say that it adds to the network security, because in an SA setting, the data connection, the establishment of the data connection starts with a slice request. Yes. And eventually you will put the traffic into a specific slice with the slice header, which will then be like a sort of VPN on the network. Mm-hmm. It will add a level of security, and you can send that to your specific IP VPN on the fixed side via the DNN. Yes. So it sort of gives you this sort of tunnel from the fixed side to the mobile side that adds to the level of security. And in a 5G SA setting, the signaling and everything is more secure compared to 4G as well. So it leaves you with a higher security, I would say.
Okay. We're coming close to the end of the segment. One last question. I mean, we spoke about slicing a lot for industries and for B2B use cases. There was one mention of possible slicing for consumer. I'm wondering whether in your markets you see a challenge from a regulation standpoint as to whether slicing violates any of the net neutrality provisions or whether it's something that needs to be discussed with the regulator in order to be deployed.
Yeah, for me, it's not about the regulation of the slicings because it's still early, but it's about how the government give the spectrum to all the operators for enough spectrum and affordable spectrum, because it's very important for us to lay the services to our customers. And I think, again, for us, the idea is we are not selling what we have to our customers, but we sell our customer what they need.
Let's see. Alexandre, you have a lot of geographies to think about.
Yeah, I think from a regulatory point of view, we respect net neutrality with all the product we launch. But we see some difficulty in some of the service aspect. So, for example, we are working in the GSMA right now to give a possibility to the user to control the application who consumes the slides. And we face a the difficulty is that it has to be massively endorsed in the operating systems of the devices. So these kind of things, I don't know if they will end up being considered by the regulator, but that's the kind of thing that I think as an end user, you need to have the capability, right? Is that if I pay a specific connectivity,
Yes.
to control who is using it.
Yes.
And right now, the way we understand is coming more in the B2C side is that it's more a decision of the device on what consume what, but it's not a decision of the end user. So we think that here there's some work to do, especially in the B2C space, right? In B2B, you could find some management solution, even though they don't really scale, but in B2C, you need some way to give the power to the end user to decide who is using the connectivity is paid for. So.
Thank you. Sorry, the words to conclude the segment.
I think that basically, if you're on the residential side, if as long as you don't restrict the bandwidth and you still share the bandwidth, it is a logical connection, and you could sort of compare that to the IEEE kind of logical IP level connection. So I certainly hope that the regulators around, and especially in Europe, don't get too excited to sort of over-regulate it, because it is actually absolutely a way of maintaining traffic and making the traffic in the network more sustainable and to solve a lot of different use cases. So I certainly hope they don't sort of over-regulate it.
I see. The very last few minutes before the end of this segment. So we spoke about the state of slicing today. We spoke about the capabilities of slicing. We spoke about what could come next. Can you share a few thoughts about the type of use cases and the type of industries beyond those that you're addressing today that you think might benefit from slicing? Any futuristic use cases that you might want to share with our audience today?
First of all, I want to a little bit respond about the security, because it's kind of important for us as operators. How we're going to make sure that there is no breach between this one slicing to another slicing, and how we're going to make sure the security in between those, because it can happen. So the homework for us is actually how to make sure that. So the second question from you is what kind of use cases that can be on next level is, I'm thinking about education. So for example, we can have a tele-education between our student and the teacher, and also, as again, in Indonesia is an archipelago country, for healthcare, for example, we can do network slicing specifically for USG or telesurgery, or maybe medication from far away, because the doctor is not spread all the archipelago of Indonesia. So those two things that I think maybe can help us to grow as a nation, and also very good for us to give a service to our customers, especially for the consumer. So it is the two use cases that I'm thinking.
Very good.
From Telefonica, I think the Gen AI is going to be one of the future use cases. At the end of the day, we are building slices now for the use cases to work, right? And Gen AI massification will certainly stress our network and will require some specific low latency connectivity and edge capability. So it's something I think we'll be all working on very soon.
And what do you mean, like offering Gen AI as a service?
No, like Gen AI consumption from the end user.
Oh, okay.
In a massive fashion.
Yes.
This will drive basically the need of specific connectivity.
Yes.
And we don't understand exactly, as per today, what we'll have to provide to support massification of such demand.
Yeah. So, and I guess distribution of compute associated with that, right? Tori, what's your perspective?
I agree with Ronald. I think that there's a lot of stuff that will happen on the healthcare side. There's a lot of elderly living at home. So there's a wave of elderly in the northern part of Europe, at least, and sort of making sure that they can continue living in their homes and adding security to that for the connections, for the healthcare workers and the individuals. I think that is a very interesting next step for this kind of solutions.
Very good. Well, we're just a few seconds away from the end of our segment, so I would like to thank you all, Alexandre, Tori, Ronald, for your thoughtful answers to our question. Thanks for participating in that segment on slicing, and thank you, Mobile Europe, for inviting us to comment on the state of the industry on that topic. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.